Whether you are a seasoned player trying to sharpen your skills or a beginner eager to learn the fundamentals, this video is packed with essential strategies that will enhance your game. We will explore fundamental concepts from controlling the center, weak squares, till some in-game concepts. So grab your chessboard and get ready. So this video is mainly for beginners, I'm not gonna lie. However, I'm pretty sure everyone from beginner to intermediate level will benefit a lot. So first thing we're gonna learn is how to start the game, actually how you should start thinking and so on. First thing, you need to control the center no matter what. That's why you start with either e4 or d4. Now I know there's some openings where you start with f, knight f3 and so on, but let's focus on the main concepts, which is controlling the center. So after controlling the center, black will challenge you to retake the center basically. So that's it. The center is these all squares. These are the center. Okay. After you control the center, so for example d4, d5. Okay. The second concept, you need to develop the pieces early in the game. We don't want to delay it, so we don't get punished. What I mean by developing is by placing, for example, the knight here, playing bishop f4, switching it to like London or anything. Okay. So first concept is controlling the center. Second concept is developing your pieces. So naturally, how you should complete the how you should finish this position by finishing developing. So bishop f5, for example, black's here plays e6, you play knight f3, black's here knight f6, and so on with e3, developing till the end. So that's the second concept, which is developing the pieces, which is crucial. Third thing, which is quite important, is king safety. So let's, like for example, after the opening phase, we reach, let's say, we reach this position, okay, where black castles and white castles. The king safety here is really important. King safety in a chess game is our priority, because we don't want the king to get checkmated. So yeah, third concept, king safety, is quite important. It's really important. Okay. Fourth thing, which is pawn structures. Pawn structure is a tricky topic, to be honest. Till now, I still suffer from pawn structures. Pawn structures comes from understanding your opening well. So for example, when I play the London system, okay, I realized that I will put most of my pawns on the dark squares. So I realized that my dark square bishop, the optimal position for it to be on is on this diagonal, basically. Okay. And if I get a chance to, for example, trade these, I'll get a slight advantage, I would say, in the opening phase, since all my pawns in the dark square, and I got rid of my dark squared bishop. However, this is not always the case. So basically, the pawn structures is understanding where the pawns should be looking at. So for example, the d pawn, he is looking at the e5 square and the c5 square. Is this what I want? And you start asking yourself these questions. But again, this doesn't come until you understand the opening well and the idea of the opening at the end. I will show you some cases on how the pawn structure should be structured well. So for example, if I go back and let's play with the black pieces here, okay? So I play e4, he plays he plays e4, I play c6, okay? Now if I go here, let's say he plays the advanced variation, okay? I'm not gonna go too much into the theory, but I just wanna outline some important move, which is this, okay? All standard so far. He plays something like this, he takes back with the queen, okay? And now you play this. Now if he takes, you develop, and it's completely natural. And if he doesn't, and actually no, I want to play this slightly bit differently. So instead of this, I'll play this, okay? And I'll play something, okay, I will continue naturally, playing this, he takes, I take, and I play c5. Now if he takes, again, it's so good for me, because I develop the bishop. And if he plays something like this, basically, I take and he takes. Now what I understand from this position is his pawn structure, and d4 square exactly is a weak pawn. So how do I add pressure to it? That's my main idea of the opening will be. So I'll play knight c6 with knight e7 and then knight f5, adding pressure. And as well playing something like queen d6, adding pressure here and adding pressure here. The main idea is to understand the pawn structure and what weaknesses he has. Now for example, if he didn't do this in the early stage, okay, and as I showed you before, and he played the knight c4 square, If I play this, if for example he plays here, for example, and I take, he can either take with the knight or with the queen. So you need to understand the pawn structure well. Okay, nice. So far we covered controlling the center, developing the pieces as soon as possible, king safety, and pawn structures. Again, pawn structure is a really tricky topic. You need to understand your opening well, and I will tell you how you should. But let's go. So in the opening, I would recommend to stick with one opening with the white pieces and two openings with the black pieces. One against e4 and one against d4. Okay? Yeah, just stick to one opening with the white pieces. Preferable if it was like a system, because it's easier to memorize for a beginner level. However, it doesn't matter. Just find the opening that suits your style. And that's it. Play a off game with it. Analyze it. Understand the opening and what are the goals of the opening. And you should be fine. With the black pieces, same thing you do. So after the opening phase, okay, let's go back to the... let's go back as white pieces. After this position we reached, okay, let's finish up the opening phase, which is, for example, blast continue like this, you play here, he plays this, this. Now, you finish the opening phase, technically. You developed all your pieces, okay, we can look at, we developed all the pieces, okay, and you castle the king is safe, and let's say blacks play this. Now we need to look at something which is, what are the best squares for my pieces to be on? What are the optimal efficiency that my squares can be on? I can understand here that this is basically a weak square. A square that there is no pawn protecting it. So for example, the e5 square, there is no d6 pawn to protect it or f5 pawn to protect it. So I will place my knight here as it is the strongest piece to be on a weak square. Now if he trades, you could continue naturally. Even the bishop, if it wasn't like on a weak square, is good. So the fifth or sixth, okay, so the fifth concept is finding the optimal squares for my pieces, the perfect squares for them. Now that's where it's get tricky. Not always you will put your pieces in the perfect squares, for two reasons. Either we're not good enough to know what are the best squares for the pieces to be on, or our opponents made it hard for us to find actually good squares for the pieces. So yeah, that's the fifth concept, I would say. Sixth thing, which is calculating tactics. So what do I mean by calculating tactics? So in this position, for example, I can realize that I'm threatening mate in 1 somehow, but he got the knight f6 protecting the h7 pawn. So how I can get rid of it? I'll start calculating of tactics. Tactics is where you will lose materials to achieve a higher thing. And how you practice tactics well is by solving puzzles. Solving puzzles is crucial. Okay, so far we covered six concepts. Now moving to some advanced stuff, we need to understand that the chess game is based on 3 things: opening phase, middle game phase, and end game phase. Do you remember in the opening phase when I told you that the king safety is quite crucial in the game of chess? Now when we reach the end game, king safety as well as king activity is really important, because the king will play a crucial role on winning the game or losing it. And I remember, so let's say for example a pawn is a pawn, a bishop is like 3 pawns, a knight is a 3 pawns as well. Some grandmaster says a king is 4 pawns, is equal to like a 4 pawns as evaluation. However, for example in this position, I need to look at how I can activate my king, as well as I need to know where I need to place it correctly. I can realize if I go here, 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 I'm kinda slow because he's so close to it to protect it as well, besides the fact that he can play this and shutting everything down. However, if I look at this, let's do quick calculations. I go here, he goes here. I go here, he goes here. I go here, I go here, he goes here. And I go knight, king h3, and he go king g1 protecting the pawn. Now I activated my king to the optimal square. Now the other concept I need to work on, which is Zugzwang. A Zugzwang is where your opponent doesn't have any good moves. So after like good amount of play. Let's say you let's say let's play, okay, g5, b5, here takes here, blah, and now he got no, he doesn't have any good moves now. So let's say I play here, he plays f4, and he takes back, and now basically I play king g4, quite safe. He goes here, I can take, and I win the game. I wouldn't done that if my king wasn't active. So king activity is really important in the endgame. I will show you another example. So for example, in this position, you will never deliver a checkmate if the king wasn't active. The way you deliver a checkmate is you bring the king all the way here, and if he plays this, as soon as he plays this, you want to give a checkmate, and if he starts running away, you want to follow him, play like a waiting move. He can't go here because checkmate, and he has to go here. He goes here, he goes here, he goes here, and then you deliver a checkmate. You would never achieve that if the king wasn't active. So king activity in the end game is really important, as well as we learned the Zugzwang concept in the end game. Now, the eighth thing I would like to talk about, which is avoiding common traps. So, for example, a trap that I used to play, which is d4 here, d4, d5, bishop f4, knight here, and I go here. He goes here, for example, and I go here. Now, if black was careless, I'm threatening this. For example, this is a trap where I fork the king and the rook, and if he was careless, play something like this, I can go here, fork. So we need to avoid common traps. Now let's go to a really important concept as well, learning from losses as well as learning from wins. How do you learn from your losses? So I will show you how do I analyze my games with the computer, okay? So for example, this is a game I played in a league match, where I was with the white pieces, and I played d4, d5, okay? I played the London system. The thing is, how do I analyze the game with the computer is I look at my ideas, I see whether it was good or bad. So for example, after I finished the opening phase, I double check that, okay, I memorized my opening well, I developed the pieces in the right squares, and so on. And let's say after we finish the opening phase, forget about the question marks, the chess.com engine is not the best. When I analyze with the stronger, so these are really good moves, but never mind. So for example, when I play this, okay, I finished now the opening phase. Let's say a line that I calculated, for example. Okay, here I calculated castle, and after I castle, he played this, and after he plays this, I play bishop c2, and after he plays, for example, rook here, I go queen here, threatening mate, and so on. So now I check whether the line that I calculated, is it good or not? So okay, I started with castling. Okay, there is not a punishment for why is it. I saw here like rook e8 is a good for him. Yes, it is a good for him. How about bishop c2? Okay, bishop c2 is not a really important. It's not the best move because he got e5, which I missed during calculation. Okay, here I understand. Okay, I need to calculate, for example, pawn moves at some positions. However, let's say then I calculated this. I go here. Okay, I'm threatening technique to win a pawn. I saw he got the only move, which is g6. Is it good for him? Yeah, it is good for him, and so on. If it was bad for him, let's say I saw for him f5. Is it good for him or not? That's how basically you analyze your game. So at the end, we reach this end game. Now, let me tell you a line that I calculated, and I want to check it with the computer. So I calculated king f3, and when he takes here, I go check, and I win a pawn. That's what I calculated. Let's check it with the computer. Aha, king f3 is a blunder. Why is it? Okay, he takes here, I go check, and he goes here, and I win here, or I win here. Or I go here, or I go here, there. Okay, then why is it wrong? Now I start look at the why it is wrong. Aha, because apparently he got king d7 first. So now when he takes here, first thing he's threatening my rook, so I need to get away. As well as I don't have the rook c7 move, which comes with the check. So okay, that's a move that I missed, which is completely normal. You miss things. You won't improve if you didn't understand what did you miss. So that's how you should analyze your games with a computer, or at least this is my way. So yeah, those are the main concepts, I would say. If I want to summarize them, I would go with 3 phases, which is controlling the center, developing the pieces, and king safety. When we finish the opening phase, going to the middle game phase, we need to look at the most active squares for our pieces to be on, so it can be in the most effective squares for our pieces. So for example, in this position, I can understand that this diagonal is the perfect square for my bishop. Okay, and then I will start calculating tactics. I explained what a tactic is. I explained how you should calculate it. I recommended that you should solve a lot of puzzles. And then we finish the middle game. We go into understanding the end game. I gave you the most crucial, the most important thing about the end game, which is king activity, is quite important. And I told you about the zugzwang, concept of an end game, and that's related to game of chess. Now, after the game of chess, if you want to improve more, you need to learn from your losses. You need to understand what went wrong, and as well as if you won a game, still, it's preferable that you analyze it. And I told you how you should analyze a game of chess on the way that will benefit you actually. If you go to a computer and you start looking what is the best move, you won't understand it. The computer is much stronger than us. So we need to calculate, we need to double check our lines with the computer. Is the way that I'm thinking is correct, or the way I'm thinking was bad? That's the main thing. Recommended to stick to one opening with the white pieces, whether it was d4, e4, knight f3, doesn't matter. Preferable to be a system. Okay, stick to one opening with it, and two opening with the black pieces, one against d4 and one against d4. And if you want to really get improved in the opening phase, watch a lot of grandmasters, or doesn't matter, watch a lot of masters games related to your game, related to your opening. So yeah, and that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found it beneficial, please drop a like as well as subscribe. If you think other people will be benefited from it, share it. I would really appreciate it. However, yeah, I will catch you back later. Bye bye.